When people imagine Vancouver, they picture the ultimate lifestyle. The ocean on one side, mountains on the other, cafes on every corner, and neighborhoods that look straight out of a travel magazine. It feels like the perfect balance between nature and city life, a place where you can surf, ski, and grab sushi all in one day. But once people actually buy a home here and start living that day-to-day reality, they realize Vancouver isn't as effortless as it looks from the outside. The same things that make it world famous are also the biggest reasons many owners end up frustrated or disappointed. My name is Shahrad Sardari, a local realtor here in Metro Vancouver, and in this video, I'm breaking down the 7 biggest regrets people have after buying in the city of Vancouver, and why these same challenges can still be positives if you're the right type of buyer. Number 1 is the cost versus lifestyle reality. Everyone knows Vancouver is expensive, but it's one thing to know it and another to live it. What catches people off guard isn't just the home prices, it's how that high cost seeps into corners of everyday life. The mortgage alone can take up most of your income, and then the extras start adding up fast. Property taxes, insurance, utilities, parking permits, and strata fees. They all chip away at your budget. Even groceries and dining out are considerably higher than in other Canadian cities. You start to feel like you're living in a postcard version of paradise, but you can't afford to enjoy it. The beach is free, sure, but the parking isn't. Neither is that dinner on Main Street, or the Whistler weekend you thought that you could take every single winter. People move here expecting balance, but they end up working harder than ever to maintain the lifestyle they came here for. And after a few years, that stress builds up. Some sell and move to suburbs, saying they felt trapped in a city they couldn't actually live in. Now, for high earners, entrepreneurs, or anyone who can handle those high costs, Vancouver is worth every cent. You can get the beauty, the convenience, and the prestige. But if you're stretching your budget to the limit, you'll quickly realize that financial pressure changes how you experience the city. Number 2 is paying luxury prices for aging homes. In Vancouver, expensive doesn't always mean modern or high quality. Detached homes here are some of the oldest in Metro Vancouver, and a shocking number were built long before modern construction techniques. It's common to see a 70-year-old house listed for over $2 million, while still having knob-and-tube wiring, drafty windows, and basements that feel like a time capsule from the 50s. Even renovated homes can be deceptive. They look fresh on the surface, new paint, quartz counters, maybe a nice kitchen, but behind the drywall, the plumbing, foundation, and structure are often original. Then there are the newer builds. They look beautiful, but Vancouver's fast-paced construction boom means not all of them were built with long-term quality in mind. You might notice leaky windows, poor soundproofing, or finishes that start breaking down just a few years in. Condos follow the same trend. Areas like Kitsilano and the West End have character, but the buildings are aging. You'll deal with old plumbing, thin walls, and quickly rising maintenance costs, all while paying what feels like luxury pricing. For buyers coming from newer cities or other provinces, that disconnect between cost and quality is shocking. Still, for investors or land-focused buyers, the value is often in the dirt, not the building. If you understand that, the age of the home doesn't really matter. But if you're expecting perfection at Vancouver's prices, that first winter of repairs will make you question everything. Number 3 is parking, traffic, and just generally moving. Living in Vancouver gives you proximity, but not necessarily convenience. You can be 10 minutes from downtown, yet spend 20 minutes looking for parking. Neighborhoods like Kitts, Main, and Cambie were designed long before today's density. Streets are narrow, and the new bike lanes, construction closures, and permit zones make driving a daily frustration. Even for residents, street parking is limited. Many homeowners rely on shared lanes or single-car garages, and if you have guests, finding a spot can feel impossible. Downtown, monthly parking stalls can run several $100s, and that's if your building even has one. And it's not just about cars. Transit is reliable, but it's crowded. Buses and SkyTrains lines fill up during rush hour, and biking means sharing roads with impatient drivers. People move to Vancouver assuming that living in the middle of everything makes life easier, but they soon realize that the city wasn't designed for how many people there are now. For car-dependent buyers, this constant congestion becomes one of their biggest regrets. But if you structure your life around the city, walking to work, biking to cafes, and using transit, Vancouver feels incredibly connected. It's one of the few cities where you can realistically live without a car. The key is knowing which type of lifestyle you're actually signing up for. Before we move on to the next one, if you're finding this useful, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. And if you have any thoughts on what I'm saying, leave them in the comments. Regret number 4 is the noise, crowd, and density shock. Vancouver's density has exploded over the past decade. What used to feel like a mix of suburban calm and urban access now feels closer to a full downtown core. Construction cranes dot the skyline year-round from Broadway to Oak Ridge to East Van. And with that comes constant noise, trucks, drilling, and concrete saws that start early and end late. Even in quieter neighborhoods, the hum of activity never fully disappears. Once quiet side streets are now filled with people walking dogs, electric bikes flying by, and delivery vans double parked at every corner. Inside condos, privacy can be non-existent. You can hear footsteps above you, doors slamming down the hall, or someone's music playing through the vents. For people who thrive on city energy, this can be exhilarating. They love the buzz, the restaurants, and the feeling that something's always happening. But for families, remote workers, or anyone who values calm, the constant motion wears you down. People often tell they moved to Vancouver for peace, to be close to the ocean or the mountains, but ended up feeling more boxed in than ever before. That's the trade-off. You get access to everything, but you give up the quiet that many people thought they'd find in the city. Number 5 is strata surprises and special levies. Buying a condo in Vancouver often feels like the safer, simpler choice. Until the first annual general meeting. Many buildings here are now reaching the age where major repairs can't be delayed any longer. Balconies, parkades, windows, and roofs. It's all due for replacement, and when the bill comes in, it's not small money. Special levies of $20, $30, or even $50,000 per unit are common in some older buildings. Some buildings in Yaletown and Fairview have had multiple rounds of them in less than 10 years. These are on top of monthly strata fees that already average hundreds of dollars, or over $1,000 in luxury buildings. Amenities like gyms, pools, rooftop decks, and concierge services sound great at first, but they raise ongoing costs and maintenance demands. For first-time homebuyers, that reality hits hard. The excitement of ownership fades when another repair notice lands in your mailbox. That said, Vancouver also has some of the best managed stratas anywhere in Canada. If you buy in a proactive building with a healthy contingency reserve fund, your ownership experience can be very different than what I just described. But if you skip your due diligence or ignore depreciation reports, you're gambling. So the regret isn't about condos themselves, it's about underestimating what long-term ownership here really costs. So make sure you do your due diligence and make sure you buy in a proactive strata. Number 6 is the struggle to build community. This is one that catches people emotionally. Vancouver looks full of life, crowded streets, busy patios, events every weekend, but it can feel lonely once you live here. People tend to stick to themselves, and neighbors often barely talk. You might live in a condo for 5 years and never really learn the name of the person across the hall. For newcomers, especially those who moved here without friends or family, that isolation can be very tough. There's a politeness to the city, but not necessarily warmth. It takes effort to build meaningful relationships. Joining clubs, sports, or community events, because organic social connections isn't part of daily life. For some, that independence is exactly what they want. They like their privacy, their quiet routine, and the feeling that no one's in their business. But for others, the emotional distance becomes one of Vancouver's hardest realities. It's not something you notice right away, but it's the kind of thing that builds up over time. After a few years, people realize they love the city, but don't feel like they belong to it. So you can make friends, but you have to really put in an effort to do so. Number 7 is the weather. If you've never lived in Vancouver through the fall and winter, it's hard to grasp how gray it actually gets. The rain doesn't pour, it lingers. A mist that never ends. Weeks go by with no sunlight, and it's easy to underestimate how much that affects your mood. Outdoor plants disappear, patios close, and by 4:30 in the afternoon, it's already dark. The beauty of the mountains and the ocean fade into the clouds, and the same city that felt alive in summer suddenly feels small and quiet. Homeowners notice it too. The constant dampness means you're always managing moisture, dealing with drafts, or running dehumidifiers. Even simple things like drying clothes or airing out your home take more effort. After a few months, people start to feel it. Not just physically, but mentally. You wake up, it's gray. You drive home, it's gray. And eventually, it wears you down. That's why some people love it here in the summer, but start dreaming about moving somewhere sunnier by January. Still, for those who embrace the slower pace, the cozy cafes, and that peaceful West Coast quiet, the rain becomes part of the city's rhythm. It's not good or bad, it just demands a certain mindset. So those are the 7 biggest regrets people have about buying in Vancouver. The cost of maintaining the lifestyle, paying luxury prices for aging homes, the frustration of traffic and parking, the non-stop noise and density, the hidden costs of strata ownership, the lack of social connections, and the long, gray winters that test your patience. Vancouver is still one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and for the right person, it's unbeatable. But if you move here expecting perfection, you'll quickly realize that even paradise has its trade-offs. If you understand those trade-offs before you buy, Vancouver can absolutely deliver the lifestyle you're looking for, but only if it matches who you are.